All right, today is 10.1, the square root function. Square root function is very similar to ones we've already dealt with, in which your h and k tell you what is going to happen to your graph. Now for your domain, remember domain means your x values. So when you have a positive h, then that means x is going to be greater than or equal to h. Your range, that means your y values, that deals with your k. Your minimum point, or like we used to say, our vertex would be h comma k. Remember that your h represents your horizontal translation and your k represents your vertical translation. Notice that the h is under the square root and then the k is outside. So that makes it a little bit easier for us to determine which one is our h and which one's our k. So let's start going through the examples. For number 1, I have square root of x minus 4. Notice that minus 4 is outside of the square root. So because of that, this negative 4 has to be my k. Remember, k represents your vertical translation, so that means this is shifting down 4 units. For the next one, it says square root of x minus 10. If you notice here, the minus 10 is within the square root. But now, please do remember that for my formula, it says x minus h. So technically, if it says minus, that means that that number was actually positive. So this is my h, and I know it's going to be positive 10. So that means it's going to move to the right 10 units. All right, for the next one, notice for this one it says square root of x minus 2, and then outside of the square root is 4. So not only do I have my h being 2, my k I also know is going to be 4. So that means that for this one, I know it's going to be shifting right 2 units, and I also know because of this positive 4, it's going to go down 4. Oh, up 4, I'm sorry. That is a positive. All right, for the next one, notice here I have that negative outside. That negative outside means that now it's going to be opening in a different direction. So we need to just make sure that we know it's opening downward. All right. Next one, look at this one. This one's a little bit tricky. If you notice, my k is on this side, and then on top of that, it's going to be going downwards, and my h is 2. So my k is 3, my h is 2, and it's opening downward. So for this one, I know that it's going to be shifting 3 units up and 2 units to the right. All right, next one. It says square root of 3 plus x. Even though these are interchanged, I still know that my h has to be 3. Now, because it's positive, keep in mind that that means that it's actually negative. So this one is going to go to the left 3 units. Same thing with this one. Even though it's written differently, it's the same process because I know that when it says positive, it's actually negative. So this is going to be left 7 units. Now, sometimes they will give you ones in which you need to pull out a number. Notice what they have in common. Both of these have 4. So I'm going to put 4 times x plus 1, because 4 times x gives me 4x, and 4 times 1 gives me 4. Now I'm going to take the square root of that. But we should all know that the square root of 4 is actually 2. So this is 2x plus 1. So that means that this number tells me that it's going to be steeper, plus my h is going to be shifting it to the left one. So this is going to be steeper, and it's going to shift left 1. All right, for the next one, it says for the function f of x, where x is the square root, how does the average rate change from 0 to 0.3? And I need to compare the average rate also from 0.3 to 0.6. So the first thing I need to do is evaluate what it will be. Now, remember, x is going to be under the square root. So that means I need to find the square root of 0, and I need to find out the square root of 0.3, because that's what they asked me within this question. So I know the square root of 0, we should know, is just going to be 0. Square root of 0.3 is going to give me 0.55. Keep in mind, remember, if the number is greater than 5, this number needs to go up. So this will be 0, and this will be 0.55. Now, they said that I need to find the average. So I'm going to take these two numbers, so 0.55, and subtract them. I know the 0 came from 0. And I know the 0.55 came from 0.3. So my average here, 0.55 minus 0 is just going to be 0.55. And 0.3 minus 0 gives me 0.3. And this is my answer for one of them. Now keep in mind, they also asked me for 0.3 to 0.6. So I'm going to do that as well. So I already know 0.3 is going to give me 0.55. Now I just got to find out the square root of 0.6. So the square root of 0.6 is going to be 0.77. So again, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to do 0.77 minus 0.55 over my two numbers that I had. Remember, 0.6 minus 0.3. So 0.77 minus 0.55 is going to give me 0.22. And then 0.6 minus 0.3 is going to give me 0.3. And then that's my answer. All right, I have one more of the same type, but using a multiple in here. So here, I need to find out from 8 to 10, and then I need to do 10 to 12. So I'm going to use 8 first. So I have square root of 2 times 8, because remember, my x is now 8. So 2 times 8 gives me square root of 16. Square root of 16, what times what gives you 16? That's right, it's 4. Next one, I have 2 times 10. 2 times 10 gives me 20. Now, we all know that this is not perfect. So now I'm going to have to take my calculator, and I'm going to do 20 square root. That's 4.47. So I'm going to write 4.47. Now, keep in mind, I need to find out the differences. So I'm going to do 4.47 minus 4 over 10 minus 8. So 4.47 minus 4 is going to be 0.47. 10 minus 8 gives me 2. So I know my answer is 0.47 over 2 for the 8 through 10. Now I just need to do 10 through 12. Now I already know 2 times 10 gives me square root of 20, and we just found out square root of 20 was 4.47. For 12, 2 times 12 gives me 24. 24 again is not a perfect square. So I'm gonna have to hit 24 square root, and it gives me 4.89, but look at this next number, it's 8. So really this is gonna be 4.9. So now all I'm gonna do is find the average. So 4.9 minus 4.47 over 12 minus 10. So 4.9 minus 4.47 gives me 0.43. And I know 12 minus 10 gives me 2. And that would be my answer. All right, for today, your assignment is to do number 1 through 6. Number 1 is just 1 through 3 is describing what's going to happen to your graph when you have your H and K. For number 4 through 6, you're just finding out what it will be and then finding the average. If you have any questions, please make sure you message me or contact me on Zoom. Have a good day.